Hello, welcome back to another review of me, Kevin from Kevin Grant on Whiskey. This week we've got a Highland whiskey, GlenGlassaugh. You might know it, you might not know it. This is kind of in the shadows of two other distilleries that used to have kind of part ownership of Glendronach and Benriach. Then there's GlenGlassaugh. It is trying to be revived, hence the name we've got here, the Revival of GlenGlassaugh. What I'll do whilst I'm talking, I'll put it in the glass to give it some time to air out. So this is a Highland single malt. It's away up in Portree, is it called? So I just wrote that down as well. Goodness gracious. Portsoy. Away up in Portsoy, which is right on the north coast, the North Sea. Way up there. Somewhere I've not been. I've just checked. It's about 3.5 hours for me, so difficult to get to, I'd imagine, from central Scotland. So these guys are owned by Benriach Distillery Company. I think it used to be under Brown Foreman as this huge kind of, we wanted 3 distilleries, and then it all slightly changed after Billy Walker left GlenDronach. Dr. Rachel Barry's involved, and she oversees the 3 distilleries. I think she's still involved with GlenGlassaugh. I need to try and find that out. That was something I was struggling to see, but my belief just now is that she is involved with GlenGlassaugh. GlenGlassaugh's had a difficult life. Founded way back in 1875, it's from there, it started off really well, and then it started hitting a lot of bumps in the road. So 1908 was the first time it closed down, and it reopened in 31. It then closed again in 1936, opened again in 1960, and then last but not least, 1986, it was mothballed. So it was mothballed in 1986. Open, closed, open, closed. They didn't know. It felt like that could have been the last time we've seen or ever heard of GlenGlassaugh. But it came back to life in 2008, 22 years later. That mothballed distillery was sitting there. I do think there's a story that I've heard before that whilst that was sitting dormant, mothballed, people did go in and try and hack away at the copper stills to try and steal the copper and sell it on. It was actually people that were walking by could hear this noise and phone police, and people were caught. And to this day, I do believe that the markings are still in one of the stills that was trying to be dismantled by these people. So 20 years go by, 2008. Then to get them back on track, the Revival was released. This was their first release back into the whiskey world. They don't have much aged stock. As you can see, they've been closed for so long. So everything that I look at GlenGlassaugh, I don't find any age statements, unless I think there was a very small amount of 30-year-old that went out, and they did release a 50-year-old not so long ago. Potentially could have been this year, in fact. So that's about it in the sense of what do we know, what do we not know. But I think this was 2012. The GlenGlassaugh was the first. The Revival was the first to come out. They do the Evolution and they do the Torfa. The Torfa is a peated whiskey. This one here, though, is a mixture of ex-bourbon, ex-wine, and sherry cask. I think it adds 6 months in sherry right at the end just to kind of balance it all out. So we've got a little bit of, there should be a little bit of complexity in there with 3 different styles of cask, but I believe the Rachel Barry, having Keeper of the Quake, the First Lady of Whiskey, she knows what she's doing. So I'm trusting this to be really good. I want to get it on the nose. I want to see what it's about. Brandon's pretty standard, I would say. There's nothing kind of shutting out. It's not kind of got shelf appeal. It's not one you run out and you would see it and it would grab your attention. But when you do see it, it's pretty plain. I think they could do better maybe on the branding, but that's probably something that will come in time. So let's get this on the nose. I went back to my Capita glass. I've not had my Capita out for a while, and see what it says, and we'll dive into the kind of breakdown. Is it ABV? Is it natural colour? We'll get into all that. So on the nose, it's like honey. It's like orangey as well, and maybe kind of soft plum. A little bit of that kind of Atlantic, the North Sea, sorry, a little bit of that saltiness, maritime, wee bit dirty, bit earthy maybe, but honey, orange, plum, salt. It smells nice. The colour as well, is just a soft amber gold, I would say. Nice legs on it. And we'll try this to palate. Let's see what we get. Slange everyone. The earthiness stays with it. I'd say they've got that, the more of the wine influence pops through, and the slight sherry notes, those kind of berries again. Cherries, caramel, maybe mulled wine anyway of some degree. I don't know if I'm just kind of fixated on that because I know there's a wine cask in there. I'm just trying to force myself to pick that out. We'll get back to in a little second. So this is 46% ABV, and it is natural colour, non-chill filtered, natural colour. There's not much to it in that sense of telling you what it is. This was bottled in 2019, 19th of March. It gives me that information, but that's kind of it. I think it could do better with branding for me personally. When you look at it as well, with regards to their stock, they've not got old stock. So everything that you see coming out this is a core range. The Torfa, the Evolution Revival is a core range. You see a lot of octave finishes and octave casts that they do. So these kind of fast forward maturation, giving it more flavour, just exploding flavour into casks. Little 50-litre ones. And I've tried a couple before and I've really enjoyed them, but is it cheating their way forward? Yes, they have to try and catch up, because I would say a new distillery then, because of how much stock they've not got. And I don't think they want to sacrifice their older stock to try and put in with some of this, even though they might do. It's one I'd like to know. So there's a lot of history there for a distillery you feel that should have maybe closed, but someone's always had the trust and belief that this has got something. Just, it's like an old car. You trying to start it, just give it a little bit of time. Then one day you just give it a little bit of TLC, you put time and effort in, you turn that key and it starts going again. So that's what I feel like. It's an older car which is coming back to life and people are going to start noticing it again. Just, I can't get past it. It's more honey orange now on the nose, and that saltiness, that earthy sea note. Get it on the palate again. I'm enjoying it on the nose. There's a spice there now to it, right at the end. It's like sweet notes are still there, spicy plum, cherries, maybe a wee bit of toffee note to it. But it's a nice little spice. As you've seen it, I've just added a little bit of water. 46%, I don't think it needs it, but I'm just going to see if it gives it any sort of lift, if it just maybe gives it something or takes something away. It's not done much. It's maybe taken the honey away, the kind of bourbon side from it, and it's brought through more of the orange for me. It just stays a little bit earthy. It stays there. I do like an earthy whiskey. This is, I've had this before and I've enjoyed it, and I think it's good. It's maybe average. It's not a whiskey that's really flying out at me and hit me. The Evolution I've tried, I've enjoyed the Evolution before, which I think is more bourbon style, more bourbon cask influence to it and not a kind of mix. This is good. It was £35 I think you can pick it up for. It's not unbelievably complex, but you're getting a non-chill filtered natural colour of a distillery, which is slightly new again if you look at 2008 have been revived. So if you look at it that way, it's 9 years old to an extent. They're still trying to find their feet of a base flavour, base product again. Excuse me. So when this has been taken over by Benriach Distillery Company, I think they're building up to bigger things. Do I think they'll catch up with Glendronach and Benriach? No, as you've seen, there's been changes happening at those two places, but not so much GlenGlassaugh. It's been nice whiskey. I don't think I would run back out and buy it again whiskey. As my honest opinion, someone might be sitting there saying, oh, it's amazing whiskey, and everyone's palate's different, so don't ever take my views on it as it's personal that I'm thinking this is okay whiskey. I could try this another day and it could be really good. I could have it blind and enjoy it, but today it just kind of sits middle of the field, and it's just a whiskey, if that's a description for it. It's been good, but it's not been amazing. I'm going to try and connect a little bit more. Obviously the bottle's gone down quite a bit. It's been in there since 2019. It's been open for a while, so that could have a slight effect on it, but I'm not too sure. But before I go, I've got some other news. I found £20 in my wallet, because no one uses cash anymore, right? It's just tap the phone and everything. So £20 there, and I'm going to go and raid my golf bag, because I think I've got a few pounds in there, maybe £6 or £7 from times gone by. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to try and do a little video of me trying to buy a whiskey under £30 with cash. So I'm going to the supermarkets and maybe have a wee look at deals again and do a review on something like that. So if you know any supermarkets, and put in the comments below if you think there's something there at that price under £30, let me know, and I'll pick something up this week and I'll do a wee video on it. We'll do an uncorking and we'll get it reviewed. But I was quite chuffed at finding that. But I'm going to go and sit back, as you know, as I do. I go sit back, I'm going to go and enjoy it. I do know a little bit about it, but I'm going to try and reconnect with it a little bit more. Might pour another one just to try and see what is happening with it and why I've not connected today. But I'll go and do that, and you all have a great weekend. And I am working tomorrow, which is a little bit of a pain, so apologies again for putting this video out on a Friday. It's been recorded today. It is Friday. It is 3 o'clock, so I've had to sit and edit this now and put it out to you. So it's been all over the place. Again, apologies, but next week that will not happen because I know my days off are before Friday, so it's going to be fine. But as always, I've been Kevin from Kevin Grant Whiskey. Join me next week. Let's talk whiskey. Sludge.